Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Keith here, hanging out, Jesse on the camera. Tonight on the bench, we are working on our TRAXXAS TRX4m Defender, Diefenbacher, whatever you want to call it. As you guys have seen in the past videos, we've got a bunch of mods and upgrades into it. Pretty much everything that was available at the time. And since that happened, the rest of the parts have come out. We got the brass... Grab the part numbers. Everybody loves part numbers. We got the brass steering blocks, 9737. Grab a scale. Let's weigh those guys real quick. How good does the scale work on a magnetic bat? 7 grams. We got 7 grams, 8 grams, 7.5 on this. This scale doesn't do points, so it's kind of ballpark. We're looking 7. It's happy at 7. So those are the part number 9737. We got left and right. Now you will notice these are black. I don't like the brass color down there, so we painted them black. I stripped these with isopropyl, 99.9% isopropyl. Sorry, kind of think for a second there. Stripped them down, gave them a good scrub with a Scotch-Brite pad to kind of take off the clear coat finish that they put on there so they don't corrode up. So knocked that down, and then we painted a matte black with just some Tamiya TS6 plastic paint. Then we've got the caster block 9733. Those are nice little brass piece, cool little fit and finish to them. They click right into the end of the axle. They look really nice, especially in black. So another 4 grams on that. So we're at what, 11 grams right there per corner of additional weight. Plus we have the lock ring inside the axle. And yeah, that's going to add a nice little chunk there. Then we also picked up a pair of the brass differential covers for the front, and those are part number 9787 from TRAXXAS, and those are 9 grams. They come in a package of 2, like all these parts do in a package of 2. We simply put one of these on the front of another build that you guys will see a little later on. This guy's going to go in the front. You don't need them front and rear. And a little while ago, you guys will remember that we bought these red differential covers and completely forgot to put them on the trucks, and we didn't feel like tearing them apart, so now's the time we put them on, because we also got the metal gears to get rid of those plastic gears that TRAXXAS cursed these little trucks with from the factory. Part number 9779. We got a nice metal gear, and we're going to sauce those up with some Cow RC Utter Butter. We're going to get those guys working real nice in there, so it's going to be very, very, very good upgrades there. Now, when you go to the steering upgrade in the front, you might as well upgrade the steering rack. Remember, they didn't have it at the time. This came in, not the steering rack, but the drag link and steering horn, so steering assembly, if you would, for this truck. And we're going to pop that into it. We're still running the stock servo for right now. I do have a NSD-RC servo mount and horn on order, so we're going to throw this in with the stock setup and see how long that guy runs. We are testing out a Power HD TR4, can't find the package, but a Power HD TR4 servo in one of our other trucks. It's a $35 Canadian option, so it's probably like 20 bucks in the US or anywhere else. So if it does hold up, we'll probably just keep running those guys for a bit. The NSD RC servo, the mount, the horn, the shipping, the taxes, the duty, you're pushing 200 bucks in Canadian dollars, so about 100 freedom dollars, but for us it's a little more. So anyhow, let's get this guy broke down. To put the gears in, we're pretty much got to rip the axles right out of it and pretty much rebuild them ground up. I did grease the bottom of the shocks when we put the shocks together, but they seem to be sticking just a little bit, so I am going to pull the shocks apart and just re-grease the bottom O-ring, make sure I do a better job myself. I was kind of in a bit of a hurry getting it together for you guys on film. So let's get this guy broke down and go. Okay, so pretty much we're going to have to clip the little zip ties off the wire. Make sure you don't clip the wires. Use a pair of flush cuts or little scissors or something like that. And then we're going to drop the axles. You can do them one at a time, do them both together. It's going to be easier to take out your rear lower links, and on the front axle, take them out from the chassis because of all this mess in there trying to fit that together. It's a little bit tight. I should have picked up the Power HD servo or something to throw in here intermittently until we get the NSD RC. The stock servos are not really that great. We'll hope for the best with the upgrades, the more added weight, and with the steel servo horn, the metal, servo horn. We'll see how that holds up. But anyhow, let's rip this guy apart. This guy does have the fancy stainless steel screw kit in there, so you want to make sure that your screw heads are extra clean because stainless steel is a lot softer. Basically, it will strip out a lot quicker. Don't try to force your steering. You will destroy that servo or pretty much any micro servo for that point. You're going to want to disconnect your servo horn, and then you can slide that around because you're going to have to turn this to the side to get these guys out. You're going to find it best to take out the radio tray. It's only 2 screws and a little twist to pop it out of the rear chassis. Pull it back like that. Then you can get your cable out of the clip in the back here. Because we have the upgraded aluminum mount, it has a nut on the back side, or normally on your just stock kit you would have the single screw with the bit of the extra plastic kind of molded on as a nut. Get rid of the stock mount as quick as you can. It is a very soft, flimsy piece. Luckily, TRAXXAS has a part available that's been out since release, so just grab that. Make your life better. Now, you can't just pull that bolt off and rip this guy out, but you don't need to fully take him out. He is captured behind the servo, the top little tab. Just a pretty ingenious way to lock it in, but you just need to be able to change the servo horn. If we keep this guy straight, take it off, put the other one back on straight, we know we don't have to hook it up and adjust it. Otherwise, you just hook this up, zero it on the out on your radio, and then swap it over. So that's good enough for there. We're going to take off the steering drag link, both the knuckles, and then we can change the C-hubs, the knuckles, the gears inside first, cover, all that stuff. So let's get going. Now when you convert from the plastic to the brass, the screw will come in from the top down, vice versa where it comes in from the bottom up right now. So just a little FYI for you there. Because if you match the parts up, they're actually stamped to what appears to be backwards, but that's just, I think, a design change they came up with. So maybe the screws are getting caught or something, right? So they flipped into the top. So we're replacing that with the steering upgrade kit, so don't get rid of that. It's a good piece. Just keep that around for maybe another build or something down the road. You want to make sure you keep that in the knuckle until you're ready to pull it out and pop it into the other one. Now we already have a full rubber sealed TRAXXAS bearing kit on it. There is a couple variations of the bearing kits out there. So far we found TRAXXAS to be the only full rubber sealed one. So just stick with the TRAXXAS one there. That's it. Four little screws on the back. Now these screws you're going to get rid of because you're going to go to a machine screw for the brass diff cover. Okay, so part 9779. Gears, axle, metal, front and rear. You do get 2 complete sets of ring and pinion in the set. Enough to do one truck. So let's transfer our bearings from this guy to these guys. Nice and simple. Stock, you will have a bushing kit and you should have a bearing kit. So we'll get the TRAXXAS one. Like we said, it's, sorry, like I said. We have tried the Team Fast David one. No, I was joking. Ah, it's a little much. That's good. Yes, go down. Kush. Drop in very nice. We're gonna use our new nice. That's not it. I lost it. Hang on. Practical difficult. Oh shit. There we go. Drops it nice. We did the pinion in the backside right. We get the cow RC under butter grease sitting in there. Nice little bed of that. We could roll it around. We know it's gonna work all good. We're gonna put the brass cover on. The brass cover comes with new hardware. You want to make sure you get that guy nice and seated. Then you can go and roll your pinion, make sure so you're not making a mess. Now, it comes with the screws that have that little blue Loctite on them, but you're gonna want to add some Loctite yourself, a good quality brand. We got Permatex or, oh, what is this one? JB Weld Loctite. It's not JB Weld, it's Loctite by JB Weld, but something good quality, and you're gonna want to, because you don't need to tighten it to the point where you think it's good, because look at the screw, it's a millimeter or something, 1.5 mil, right? So you need the Loctite to go with the brass and the plastic, so you're not over tightening it at all. So especially with a part like this, do not put any of the screws all the way in. Just get them all started and then start running them down, or else you will run into a binding issue and you will not be able to get all the screws in most times. Okay, now we have all the screws in. You're gonna want to go around and just close the gap. That's it. Do not crank them tight. You will run a hot motor, poor battery life. I like to go around a couple times just to make sure I'm not over tightening it. I don't just keep going and tightening it up. I'm going back and forth, just making sure it's somewhere it's happy, it's gonna stay. Feel the mesh. Absolutely no tight spots, so feels good. So just don't squish it. A lot of people crank that down, and they're tiny. You'll break that off in there. No good. Okay, next up, caster C-hubs, what do you want to call them? Caster blocks, I think TRAXXAS is calling them here. Yes, right? What do they call them? TRAXXAS blocks, some kind of number. TRAXXAS blocks. TRAXXAS blocks. Both the knuckles are the same. You don't have to worry about which one is left, which one is right. Intended use. Okay, now we get into the fancy C-hubs on the rig. You're going to notice there is a slight difference in the appearance of them, mainly brass, plastic of course, but also if you're to match them up like so, which makes sense, you have the large piece on top, large piece on top. You would think this would both be the same side, but in fact you'd be wrong. This is the other side. I don't know why you'd think that, but this is the, no, okay. They're tagged left and right. Just follow the instructions. I think they're more designed to give it a higher upper clearance for when you work with this part, right? So it brings up the steering in the front of the truck instead of having the steering rod run down low. So that is that. So this guy, kind of pain in the butt to keep together. I like to, usually when we're doing it, it's just a bearing swap, so it's easy. Good. This will try to keep it together. You can keep tension on it and it won't fall apart like that. Just push on the shaft and then just try to not let it fall apart when you put it down. Put it down, pin flat, just run away. Go home. Go home. I like to put a little bit of grease on the flat side of the end of the shaft, just because it does kind of chirp and chatter a little bit inside the drum, or the opposing flat space it fits into. What do you want to call it? Just
the bung.
The bung. Here we go. Drop that in. Loctite. Now, yes, we do have a stainless steel screw kit in the truck. We just wanted to put one in because we wanted to buy the TRAXXAS parts. We don't recommend, especially these, like your kingpins, to be in stainless, as they will shear off and break a lot easier than just your black steel bolts. So. Okay guys, I'm going to quickly do the other side. We'll pop back in a few seconds, do the steering rack, and we'll start putting it back together. Okay, we got those knuckles back on, looking all good in the nice black with the stainless hardware and that beautiful full TRAXXAS bearing kit. Now the steering drag link is part number 9748. This is an orange one. They only had 4 colors. We got a gray one for another build, and we picked up the orange one for the Defender. He looked cool with some orange highlights on him. Go with all the blue and stuff, whatever. Just maybe you should have went with blue for all the blue on it, but hey, we picked orange, so let's go with that. The package, you do get some nice, decent instructions with how to install that. Small package of hardware. A small metal servo horn. And your drag link. First up, might as well change out the servo horn. 2mm screw. Hold that one as best you can without breaking it. Now you're going to want to make sure you take that one off, put this one on directly where it was. If it did move, don't try to turn it back, just leave it alone. We'll work with that. So. I'm not too worried. Stock is only plastic, do not crank that too tight. Okay, after you get the horn on, do not disconnect it to here until everything is back in the truck. Now this guy is going to sit in here, boop, boop, lift up to the top. He does come with these little spacers that need to sit underneath of him, holding him to the top up here, boop, like that. The brass steering blocks do come with black steel hardware. For both the steering knuckle shoulder bolts here and your drag leg bolts, so they come in from the top now. Okay, so I find it easiest to lay it on its side. Put your screw partially through. And get them set like that. You don't want the screw sticking out at all, because the spacer is kind of a butt to get in there. Really simple. As you're tightening everything up, you want to make sure everything remains nice and floppy, so you don't want nothing too snug anywhere. Now that you have the one side mounted, it makes the other side that much easier. You'll see that everything clears in very nicely. You want to have this guy swapped out before you put this guy in, yada yada yada. By this guy I mean the servo horn. It does come with a spare screw for the servo horn, which is very nice. And it just comes with a larger step bolt for the front. We'll put that guy over here in the reassembly parts pile, because we do need that guy last. We don't want to damage this crappy servo, so it is just the RTR. Okay, make sure everything's smooth, all nice and buttery. We're going to leave that off to the end. Sorry I keep repeating that, but it's important. We do have the steel link kit in the truck, so we're going to toss those guys back in. First off, let's clear that off. I want to show you guys something with the Driveshaft. Now, you know they do have the rubber O-ring around them to lock them in. You see that better? So the rubber O-ring goes around. It's got that pin that goes through that I was just fighting to keep that in. This is scraping on the ground. If something peels that back, the pin can fall out. Driveshaft pops off. So we've got some 10mm heat shrink. Buy a big old box of Amazon for 10 bucks. I got this at Limited RC for 10-15 bucks Canadian, so probably free anywhere else in the world. And all you need to do is make a 4mm, 3mm cover or strip that you can use as a cover. And then make sure you don't cover your bolt hole. And just heat shrink that O-ring on. You don't want to use too big or else it won't stay. And well, too small just won't fit. So you want to line it up as nice as you can, straight as you can. Take a minute, spend your time with it. And then we're gonna add some magic. There you go. Don't be scared to put some heat into it. You don't need to light it on fire, but you can put some good warmth into it. It does shrink in pretty tight. That came out perfectly. Exactly what I was looking for. Now you're going to want to do that to all the Driveshafts. You don't need to do the tops. You can if you want, just for due diligence, extra safety precaution, but you should definitely do the lowers. This is the lower for the fronts. Okay, so the front axle, the rear axle is pretty much the same. Well, the rear axle is just the gear set. There's no steering knuckles or anything like that, so we're not going to cover that. Make sure you guys follow the same steps. We are going to change to the red diff cover on ours. You don't have to do that. I don't recommend running dual brass front and rear. That's your preference, though. That's just what I don't recommend. You don't need too much weight. That becomes an issue very fast. We're going to start throwing these sweet little steel, little mini Revo rod ends and links back together. And we will see you guys back here in a few seconds for final assembly once we get that rear axle completed. Okay, so we got the upper links in, Driveshaft on, sitting, servo sitting through the hole with the wire pulled through the top. Now the bottom links, they're a little bit tight between here and there, between the inside and the outside tang that they mount to on the axle. It is best to take your knife and just take off the outside edge so you can help slide your mount in there, or your pivot ball into the axle mount a lot better. You don't want to take off too much, just the one edge, so you can actually get it to go together. Just a little bit. And then you can actually slide it in there. If not, you'll have to pry it open a little bit and then jam it in there, and that's just kind of sketchy. So just a little tip. Okay guys, there you go, all back together, ready to go for a test drive. Jesse helped do the rear axle for the final assembly. The last part is putting in that front shoulder bolt kind of screw thing into your steering rack before you flip it over. You want to leave this last because the stock servo is not the greatest. We want to keep them around for as long as we can until our parts show up from NSDRC. Even putting it in at this point, just make sure you can get it past the orange, or your steering drag link, not the orange, and then make sure you hold that with something because you don't want that little servo stripping. The shoulder screw only goes down so far, so you are left with a little bit of play in there for your steering. Don't try to turn it and test it out by hand. You'll just break it. I think I said that enough. Apologize if it sounds repetitive, but it is important. Okay, pretty much gonna put the wheels back on it. You guys know the rest from there. Put your battery box back in, zip tie the wires. Basically just wanted to show you those quick little upgrade brass parts for the front and that steering link with the metal servo horn. We are gonna come back for some testing. We do have another Bronco that we just built last night, so we could get through this and know exactly what we're doing. He's got all the same brass upgrades. He's got the steel links. He is just running stock Driveshafts, but we did that same mod on the bottom there. But he does have a Power HD TR4 servo, which looks identical, but it seems to be a lot quicker so far. But we're going to actually run them and see. Now this guy does have a larger tire on it. It is a softer tire with a foam, so it's going to grab and fight a lot better, so we're going to see. He does have the aluminum mount in it, so if this servo does hold up and it's a good replacement, we're just going to grab one real quick probably tomorrow, throw it in that guy so we can have them up and running for the next week or two until our order comes across, clears customs, and gets up here in Canada. We're going to test out that servo. We're going to let you know if it's going to hold up. If it holds up in this truck, we're going to throw in that truck. And then when the NSDRC servo gets in, we are going to test drive that. If you guys are wondering, this guy is Area 51 is the color. And you can get different color bodies directly from your local hobby shop or TRAXXAS that they did not release in the basic 3 or 4 colors they have with the RTR. We have quite a wide variety of colors. I thought the Area 51 looked cool, so we grabbed that. RC four-wheel drive black Rhino wheels and RC four-wheel drive scrambler tires with the foam in them. The truck looks fantastic, but not as good as our Defender though. So I want to slap this guy back together. We're gonna go do some crawling. See you guys in a few seconds on the hill. Okay, so just like last time I was standing here, very happy, satisfied with the TRX4m platform with the latest upgrades, I believe. Besides the hubs, that is the last few missing pieces that TRAXXAS has so far released for upgrades in the truck that we have into this one. So she is fully done, completely built right now. So we're going to move on to that Bronco, get that guy up and running. Basically, we need the bead locks for the rear, and we want to get a couple more sets of tires for it, and I do want to get some foams, a couple things like that. I highly recommend getting foams for your tires. You can even just buy some other RC four-wheel drive tires, like old crappy hard ones, take the foams out of them, throw the tires out, and use them in those. So they do need foams. They work fantastic without, but they do fold over and kind of pop and stuff, and they will get better bite without. So anyhow, we'll see you guys on the next one with probably this one and the Bronco doing some trailing out here. We got a bunch of work to finish up on this course for you guys, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one.